the Cisco of crypto. Explain what that means to our viewers.
Yeah, so Blockstream is a Bitcoin infrastructure company. We focus on the Bitcoin protocol, the Lightning Network, the Liquid Network, and now we're getting into hardware. And there are parallels there with like Cisco, as you mentioned. Cisco built a lot of the foundational infrastructure of the internet, the routers, and they also worked on the internet protocol as well. So I think Cisco gets credit for where we are today with the internet, and we hope to do that with Bitcoin and build a lot of stuff on top of Bitcoin and augment the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Okay, tell me what that means practically. What kind of stuff do you guys do? I know mining is a big part of it.
Yeah, mining is definitely a big part of it. So it's important that Bitcoin is decentralized, and a part of that is the ability to procure ASICs or application-specific integrated chips and make these miners that secure the Bitcoin network. And right now, most of that is done in Asia and not often outside of Asia. And we hope to be one of the first North American ASIC manufacturers with our acquisition of Spondyles.
So what have you seen over the last few months? Obviously, we've talked a lot about this crackdown in China on Bitcoin mining. Has that benefited you guys?
Oh, definitely. It's benefited most of the North American miners because as the miners in China are shutting down and moving out, the hash rate drops. And that makes it much easier to mine Bitcoin. So everyone that is not there is basically laughing all the way to the bank, making
it makes it easier more to mine Bitcoin?
Yes. So the difficulty of the Bitcoin network will drop when hash rate drops. So it kind of accommodates the state of the network to ensure that there is one block roughly every 10 minutes. So when the hash rate drops, the network compensates for that. It's kind of like a living sentient being in some ways. And it rewards the miners that are still mining. So basically it becomes very, very profitable for everyone that is still securing the network.
Was this round then, you guys just raising, $210 million opportunistic then? Do you think that part of it has to do with what's been going on geopolitically and the China crackdown?
Well, we've been working on the round for a few months now, and I think it is an opportune time because we've made two big acquisitions. We've acquired Adamant Capital, a Bitcoin hedge fund, as well as Spondyles, an Israeli semiconductor chip manufacturer. So we want to make our own ASICs. We want to build up Blockstream Finance and offer our own financial products built on top of Bitcoin.
And you guys now valued at over $3 billion. When we see sort of these companies, more crypto companies go public, get more attention, also kind of work closer with regulators. Is that something that you guys are thinking about as well that could bring you to the next level in terms of exposure and reputation and partners that you could get if you were a public company?
Well, definitely it is possible. I think the valuation is an affirmation of our focus to build on Bitcoin. There aren't that many unicorns out there that just focus solely on Bitcoin. And I think it just shows that, I should be on Bitcoin and not on crypto.
Why are you solely focused on Bitcoin? I've heard phrases recently like boomer coin, and we've seen Ethereum take up more trading volume and on platforms like Robinhood. So why focus only on Bitcoin? Why not hedge a little bit better?
Well, I think everything else is linked to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the reserve currency of all crypto tokens and altcoins and whatnot.
For now, though, right? It's you don't see that dominant. You think forever?
It's forever. Bitcoin is the only one that really matters. Everything else is sort of like a company. They're just pretending to be decentralized, decentralized in name only. Whereas Bitcoin is actually decentralized and had organic growth and organic adoption. And
you make that argument about Ethereum too, even with its role, especially in NFTs and blockchain technology. You would say that.
But the interesting thing is there is no loyalty to Ethereum. Whenever Ethereum gets clogged, people just migrate to other chains. You see that with a number of their competitors, and people just migrate off and they go somewhere else. And there's really no incentive to stay with Ethereum other than people that made the network and operate the network.
That's fascinating. I'll tell our producers if we hear anything in the comments on YouTube or on Twitter, let us know. I haven't really heard that. I've heard that you're going to have a few cryptocurrencies that will be dominant. Someone once told me it'll be like precious metals. You have gold and silver and platinum. But are you saying that you think there's only going to be one, and by far Bitcoin's going to be the dominant crypto?
Definitely. I think the use case for Bitcoin is really money reimagined, money 2.0. And none of the other cryptos can accomplish that, just because it is created by a group of people and managed by a group of people, and it's not really decentralized. A lot of them, it's difficult for any normal person to run a node, a full node, whereas with Bitcoin you can do that. And the only way to achieve a real decentralized global currency like Bitcoin is to have the regular people being able to access, and the rules of the network being able to be immutable and unchangeable.
Right. It's interesting. I didn't think our conversation would take this direction, but I'm really fascinated by it. Okay, then, and I know this is on the way other end of the spectrum, perhaps, but what are your thoughts on Dogecoin? I mean, yes, you say that Bitcoin is money reimagined and Dogecoin doesn't have those kinds of ambitions, but in terms of like practical uses, it's transactional uses. No one wants to spend a Bitcoin because it's volatile and could be worth a lot of money. Whereas it feels like, people are more willing to spend their Dogecoin because what else are they going to do with it?
Well, Dogecoin has its use case
maybe
as a fun joke currency, and people like Elon Musk have fun with it. But
more than having fun with it, I mean, what I'm saying though is people think that it's a serious, cryptocurrency. It started as a joke.
Well, I think it's still a joke, but people can think what they want, but it's a common misconception that Bitcoin is volatile. I think if you look at Bitcoin on a daily basis, then yes, it is. It can have these movements up and down, but on a long enough time horizon, Bitcoin just goes up, numbers go up, and it is a store of value, and it can be spent.
What about the crypto winter? It didn't just go up; it was down for a very long time.
I didn't see any crypto winter.
After 2017, Bitcoin stayed at lower levels for a very long time.
I don't know. When I got into Bitcoin, it was a couple $100. So for me, it's just been going up.
Okay, if you got in early enough, fine. But if you're the regular investor, I mean, it's hard to argue that it's not volatile.
Well, the important thing to understand is we are still very early. Like Deirdre, yeah. You and I are talking about Dogecoin. That's how early we are. You can think of this like back in the day when gold and silver were still in its formative stages, and no one knew that gold would become the dominant one. People might have thought silver or copper would be dominant. So these are the kind of discussions that are being had out in the ecosystem. So we are still very, very early. And it's another common misconception that you can't spend Bitcoin. Like people are spending Bitcoin. In a couple of days, El Salvador is rolling out their Bitcoin law, and people will be using Bitcoin as legal tender, and they're using it and transacting on the Lightning Network, which is a network that allows for instantaneous, almost free transactions. So Bitcoin is a medium of exchange now.
I mean, it becoming that way, but I don't think in a major way quite yet. But do you think ultimately that trend continues? People will use it as a medium of exchange and less as a store of value?
Definitely. I think Bitcoin is all three things. It is a store of value, a medium of exchange, and it will become a unit of account. It's already a unit of account for the Lightning Network. When people are tipping each other and making small transactions, they're denominating those in Satoshis, the smallest unit of a Bitcoin.
Okay. Let's move on. This has been a fascinating conversation, but I do want to talk about the energy consumption side of things. Obviously, another flashpoint this year. You guys are partnering with Square to build an open source solar powered Bitcoin mining facility. How long have you had your eye on the energy side of things, and how did this come about? Is Jack Dorsey personally involved?
Yeah, we're definitely working with Jack and his team, and I think it's a very interesting project because our goal is to open source the whole development of this solar mining facility, so people can see how you can build it, the costs involved, and the profitability. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it has to work economically in order for us to drive growth in renewables. But I think overall, like our goal is to work on Bitcoin, and you can look at Blockstream as a disruptor of three industries: the financial industry with Bitcoin, with Liquid, with Lightning, the energy industry with Bitcoin mining, and now we have a Blockstream energy product, and also telecommunications. So we also have a Bitcoin satellite network, a network of 4 satellites in geosynchronous orbit that's broadcasting Bitcoin blocks around the Earth for free.
Early indications, is this scalable? Can you replicate it?
Replicate the satellite network, or the
idea, the whole idea of better energy consumption, solar powered Bitcoin mining?
Well, I think the interesting thing is it's
only at one place right now, right?
Yeah, but I think if you look on a long enough time horizon, what Bitcoin does is it incentivizes infrastructure and things around infrastructure like energy production. So I think what we'll see is new forms of energy production, not just building more solar, but potentially fusion reactors, right? So there's not much incentive right now to do that, but with Bitcoin, there is an economic incentive to do that because you can have fusion reactors wherever you want to build them, and that would be the safest form of nuclear power and the greenest.
Okay. I got a question from YouTube from Dave. He says, how do you feel about Bitcoin's dwindling transaction volume relative to the most popular implementation of Bitcoin?
I don't know what that is. There's only Bitcoin, and transaction volume is pretty high right now, and then market cap is pretty high right now.
Yeah, Dave, let us know in the comments what the most popular implementation of Bitcoin is that you're referring to. That's what you're wondering, right, Samson?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm wondering too. Okay, you recently just bought a Bitcoin hedge fund. Is that right?
Yes, Adamant Capital from Deirdre.
What's in that? We just talked about sort of Bitcoin as a hedge to other cryptocurrencies. What's a Bitcoin hedge fund?
Well, I think for Deirdre, his focus was to create this vehicle where Bitcoiners can invest their Bitcoin and generate a return on their Bitcoin, and it would be very tax efficient. What we're doing is we're rebranding it to Blockstream Finance, and our goal is to offer a number of other Bitcoin-focused products, potentially even Bitcoin-backed mortgages down the road. But the end goal here is that we want to spur hyper-Bitcoinization. So if you have all these financial products, you don't need to cash back out. You don't need to go back to the fiat economy. You can just stay in Bitcoin forever.
So what's the hedge here? What are you hedging against?
We're hedging against the fiat dollar.
The fiat dollar, okay. Does it use stable coins within?
We'll probably use stable coins. We'll probably have some products that use a mix of currencies. We'll probably accept investment in USDT as well.
Okay. Speaking of stable coins, I was looking at participation in your latest round. iFinex, which is the parent company of Bitfinex and Tether, participated in this latest round. Is that right?
Yes, and Stuart and Paulo send their best regards.
Tell them I say hello, and we'll welcome them on again anytime. What can you tell me? You mentioned Stuart and Paulo, the general counsel and the CTO. Do you guys deal with the CEO and CFO who have, been fairly elusive?
Yeah, we talk with Giancarlo as well. I don't talk to JL that much, but there are some interesting projects that we're working on together, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about that with you sometime down the road. But
why don't you talk to JL, the CEO of the company, if they're major participators in this latest round, and the CEO of the company?
I don't know. Generally, I talk to Paulo on a daily basis. It's just who I end up talking to. We are a technology company. They're a technology company. So we end up talking a lot with the technology guys.
And I know you guys have had institutional investors in the past. As you're well aware, there's been questions about the transparency of Tether. Do you share any of those concerns when you have investment from them and you're building a business, with their money?
Not at all. I mean, Tether is the king of stablecoins. Bitfinex is a rock of the cryptocurrency industry. Paulo's built this infrastructure that just won't go down. It'd probably take a nuclear strike to take down their infrastructure. Whereas with other exchanges, when trading volume is spiky, then they typically go offline. But you never see that with Bitfinex. So
infrastructure is one thing. Reserves are another. And I know that there's some people that are concerned they don't know really the quality or even where their commercial paper comes from that makes up so many of the reserves. So while the infrastructure may be solid, there's still a lot of questions about the reserves and what that commercial paper entails, right?
I'm not really sure. That seems to be a hot topic for the media, but for you guys,
it's
people the people that actually use Tether understand that it is backed, and the biggest thing though, it is massively liquid. So you can change out of Tether at a moment's notice, and FTX is using Tether, Kraken, Coinbase too. I mean, it's just everyone is just using it and it functions perfectly. If there were problems with redemption, I don't think that everyone would be adopting it to this level. And they are quite transparent with their reserves. Like they've given a breakdown. I don't think they answer your question of which country, but that's really to which country their commercial paper is with, or
Right.
it's probably a mix, but I think that's to protect their partners.
Well, I mean, they have sort of given a little bit more, but that was because they had to, because they were required to, due to the investigation by the New York AG. But, we have seen this trend in stablecoins of more transparency. Just this week, we had USDC say that they're going to only keep reserves in U.S. Treasury bonds and cash. You had Paxos coin, which I know is much, much smaller, say the same thing. Do you think that it's important? And this is not just to do with Tether, but do you think it's important for stablecoins, because of their growing role in the crypto ecosystem, to have more transparency, or at least be more backed one-to-one by cash or short-term securities?
Well, I think every stablecoin should be backed one-to-one with the proper reserves. And I think, yes, the transparency is a great thing for the industry. And I know that for Paulo himself, it's like top priority for him. They've been working on transparency reports and moving along on that front. And I think we're just going to see more of that.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up here, Samson, but I want to finally just ask you, where's Blockstream a few years from now? What are your guys' ambitions? How big do you think you're going to be?
Well, I hope that a few years from now, we'll have our miner on the market. We're planning to name it the Blockstream Hornet after Michael Saylor's Cyber Hornets. And hopefully we'll be a bigger player in the mining space.
Are you guys working with MicroStrategy?
Not in any official capacity, but Michael Saylor and I do chat and we're good friends.
Okay, I love that name. We have to have you both on. I think that would be a good discussion.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Samson, thank you for being with us from beautiful Victoria, BC. I miss BC. We just got back a few weeks ago. And I love the t-shirt. So thank you. We hope to talk to you soon. Congratulations on the fundraise and the valuation, and look forward to seeing what you guys do.
Thanks so much, Deirdre.
Okay, take care.